All right, the main event. So it's been 10 years, and we are in for a treat for 502nd Hacknight, a network status map for the TTC. This is one amazing project, and we're going to hear some amazing insights from Andrew Ilersich. I've had a chance to chat with Andrew, and it's quite amazing person and pretty amazing project. For those of you that are not familiar with the network status map for the TTC, as I'm sure you all know, like many places, this TTC suffers from frequent shutdowns and delays that are not well communicated to the average transit rider. Andrew tried to fix this, as we'll see in a moment, with TTCmap.ca. Did I get that right? Excellent. It's real time, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's a real-time network status map that shows
as real time as the TTC's website is.
There we go. Like I said, it's real time, showing all current service disruptions in one place. Andrew is an amazing individual. When people say, "Oh, what are you, a rocket scientist?" He actually sort of is. He's a doctoral student in aerospace engineering at the University of Toronto. Currently working on machine learning in computational physics. Is that right? Amazing. He's spent his whole life in Toronto, yay, and wants to see it become a more safer, more accessible, and more affordable city for everyone. Please give a wonderful Civic Tech welcome to Andrew Ilersich.
Thank you. Yep, I can share my screen. All right, that should be coming through clearly now, and I hope everyone remote can hear me. I'm going to be talking about the website I put together to hopefully improve the communication of service alerts on the TTC, specifically the subway system, and we'll get into why that is later. First, I'm going to talk a bit about the website as it stands. Let's put ourselves in the shoes of someone about to go on a trip, and we want to check if there are any disruptions in place. So we go to the website, and we're hit with a lot of options. All the service alerts are categorized into these 6 pages, not all, but most. So that gives us 6 options that we need to go through if we need an elevator. If we don't need an elevator, then that becomes 5 options. Still a lot. Most of the real-time moment-to-moment stuff is under this service alerts page. And even if you get into here, you're hit with a lot of information. You have this header that's visible throughout the website, gives you descriptions of what's going on with the subway. You've got this pop-up on the bottom right, which gives you the exact same alerts, word for word, plus buses and streetcars. And then you have the contents of this page, which also gives you the exact same list of alerts. You have the same information 3 times in the same format, and no visualization for most of these. And by the way, if you click on that link that should take you to more info, it just takes you to the page that you're already on. Some of them have icons for which line is affected, some of them don't. It's kind of a mess. But even if you do go through all these pages, that's still not all of the information. For example, my local bus, the 52. Right now, it's diverted from Lawrence Station to Eglinton, but none of these pages will tell you that. You have to go to the route page for the 52 bus, and that's where you'll find out. So for a given trip, that's 5 or 6 websites you need to check, plus the route page for each, before you can be sure that nothing's going to affect your trip. There are also in-person announcements. Sometimes they're legible, sometimes they're not. And even when they are legible, again, about the 52 bus, I took this picture at Eglinton Station. But the map that was posted in Eglinton Station shows the bus going to Lawrence. This is not something that was left up as an old map. This was put up when the bus was diverted there, and it was wrong then. So I think we can do better than this. I think there are 3 main issues with the system as it stands. One is redundancy. you're given the exact same information several times in the exact same way. 2 is that the info's scattered across lots of different web pages. And finally, it's text only. Some of the bus and streetcar diversions will come with little maps, but they're not always up to date and they have their own issues. I'm going to talk a bit more about that later. So in my opinion, what a better system would be like is 1, consolidated. Ideally, you'd have all the service information in one place, no matter whether it's long-term, short-term, caused by construction or mechanical issues, doesn't matter. 2, rider-centered. That's a bit of a buzzword, but if we want to nail down that meaning a little more specifically, you work with the information a rider likely knows and cares about. So if a rider's like me, then you don't necessarily care whether the delay is caused by a mechanical issue and it's going to last an hour, or whether it's caused by construction and it's going to last a week. You care that there's a delay, and you care that it's on your route. So the website should be set up, in my opinion, that way. And finally, it should be visual. You should show all of this on a system map. You shouldn't just be writing it out, because that presents an accessibility issue. For example, if English is your second language, or if you're not familiar with the streets that are being referred to. But also, it's just easier to do lots and lots of announcements on a map than as a big list of text. So TTC website was TTC map was the website that I built, kind of following this philosophy. It gives you an overlay on Google Maps of the subway lines, and it shows little icons covering the stretches of track that are affected by each alert. And you can see on the left side, there's a legend for which icon means what. The alerts are sorted by how it affects the service, whether it's delay or bypassing a station, whatever. And if you mouse over it, if you've got it on a desktop, or if you tap on it, if you're on your phone, it'll show you a little pop-up with the full text announcement if you want that extra information. This combines the alerts from several different places. So you've got the live service alerts that tell you, for example, an elevator is out of service, or the subway is going to be closed between these stations this weekend. But you also have the delays that are caused by chronic issues with poor track condition, deferred maintenance. That's all shown in the same place. And if all of these icons were instead verbal descriptions in a big list, that would be a little much to parse. But to me at least, just looking at it on a map, you get it in a second. So there are a few limitations to the website as it stands. The way it works right now is when you load it up, it goes and checks what alerts are live on the TTC website right now. It interprets those, it generates the icons and figures out which pieces of each line are covered. And the TTC doesn't always put out those announcements in a standardized format. I'll say maybe 70% of the time they do, but sometimes they leave stuff empty in the API. So it may make mistakes if the TTC sends out some oddball announcement. This website's been live for a little over a month, though, and I've been ironing out those problems as they come up, so I think it's mostly okay now. But even still, consistent performance can only really be guaranteed right now for the subway system, because you don't have diversions to deal with. And for streetcars and buses, I don't really have a good automated way right now to read those alerts and draw a new line on a map. That's a little beyond the information that's given to me. That would be, in my opinion, the most important next step, though, for this website to really make it something useful that people could rely on. For example, if we look at the website for the 504 King streetcar, it's a bit of a mess. These are different bits of information that you're given on the web page. You've got at the top this list of alerts, this list of diversions described out to you. For example, westbound streetcars go from Queen Street East and River Street via south on Church Street, west on Richmond Street, north on York Street, west on Queen Street West, south on Spadina, west on King Street West to regular routing. You got all that? This, though, contradicts the route map that's given on the same page, which just shows it going along King. And in turn, that contradicts this little doodle that's given to you that shows the streetcar going on Wellington. However, this does agree, as far as I can tell, with the stop list. So I think this is the version of the truth that's accurate. This would be way nicer as a map, though. This isn't implemented in the website. This is just a doodle I did to show kind of how it would look. And with the streets communicated visually like this, the announcements could be made way simpler. However, as I said before, there's not really enough information given by the TTC, and the information that's given isn't standardized. So I don't have a good automated way to incorporate this into the website. Implementing this would require some support from the TTC. And yeah, that's it for my presentation. I could take any questions.
It's amazing. It's Civic Tech. It's great. We have some questions for you, Andrew, and we'll have some in the chat as well. For those of you that are online, we'll go back and forth in the room and online. If you're online, put a Q in the chat, and we'll try to get to you. We'll start in the room. I'm just looking at the first person I see.
Why do you think the TTC's website is so bad at presenting its information when it comes to service alerts?
I haven't done historical research into this, so this is just speculation. But my guess is that different pieces were added as time passed with new information. And it's easier from the TTC's end, I'm guessing, to categorize things into construction notices, short-term real-time alerts, because that matters to them from an organizational point of view, not necessarily to the rider from a how is my route affected point of view. I think it was just convenient at the time, kind of every step that built up the website. And unfortunately, government websites and even corporate websites are kind of like this.
Hi, I'm just wondering, could you somehow make it work like a Waze app for pedestrians? Because I know when they divert routes, they offer like other buses.
Mhm.
I wonder about that. Can it work?
So like, can it be used to give you a route if you put in where you're starting from, where you're going?
Yes. Could that work?
That could be added. I don't know if it would be terribly useful until buses and streetcars are part of the system. Because with a subway, it's easy enough to kind of look at it and see which stations can I go between.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. When stuff gets, it's working on top of Google Maps.
But
so we could use
ultimately,
that.
I want to find the fastest route.
If you
I don't want to
find
have all these options. I want to have the fastest route. Like, what is the closest bus I can get to now?
So
That's
I
what
haven't
I'm
thought
thinking.
too much about
Yeah.
that yet, but
Okay.
that could be really useful. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be so cool.
Version 2 already.
Yeah.
We'll take some online. We can take 2 online, Jordan.
Excellent. We have one from Adam.
Is he going to type it out or say it?
I just wondered, have you been able to network with anybody at the TTC to get meetings or maybe talk with the right people?
Sorry, I didn't understand. Oh, yes. So I have been able to present this at the TTC board meeting. I was able to make a deputation there, and they give you a whole 5 minutes to speak. So the TTC board is aware of this. I haven't been able to talk in any kind of depth about what kind of support I might be able to get from them or what kind of relationship we might have. I was just able to kind of inform them of its existence. And I gave a presentation that was kind of similar to a cut down version of what you just saw today. So they know about as much as you do about this website. Though there hasn't been any more than that yet.
Thank you. We have another question here from Richard.
Hi, yeah. I actually have two questions. Can I ask both questions or do I just pick one of them?
Go ahead and ask both.
Okay. My first question is, I saw that the current iteration is only with like subways. Have you gotten any feedback from like subway riders or people who are using the subway on like how useful it is in this current iteration?
Yeah, there is a contact link on the bottom of the website that just links to a TTCmap.ca email address I set up. And I have gotten a few people saying thanks, giving their ideas. Initially, the version that went public didn't include the elevator alerts. That was just something I hadn't gotten to yet. And immediately I had people email me saying, hey, elevator alerts would be really useful. So those are in now.
Ah, okay, cool. And my second question is, I know that like Google Maps, whenever you plan a trip using Google Maps, shows you delays. I think not as specifically, it just shows them as like a notification under the routes. Have you researched into like any blind spots that Google Maps has? Because I know me and all of my friends mainly use Google Maps to navigate like Toronto.
Yeah, this can't be a complete replacement for Google Maps because this website relies on what the TTC knows and then makes public. So if a train breaks down, that's blocking the tracks and that causes a delay, then the TTC is going to report that through their system and my website will show it. But if the trains are just being slow because they're badly managed, then my website doesn't work as a complete replacement for Google Maps yet. Google Maps is, everyone knows, it's tracking all your phones and it's using that to figure out where the slow traffic is. And my website obviously can't do that. So
all right,
it's
cool.
really just a front end for the TTC. It's not a complete replacement for Google Maps.
I see. That makes sense. Thanks.
Hi, I like your website a lot. Do you plan to like open source this project or accept like contribution or something?
Yeah, it's already on. You're asking if I'll open source it? Yeah, it's already on GitHub under general public license. It's there.
I'll come back to you.
I also have a two-parter, if that's okay. First question was, could you share a little bit more about the data sources that you used? Is this like scraping the website, or is this using any of the open data that the TTC provides?
So this isn't using the GTFS open data that the TTC puts out. I did use that to start with just to get latitude and longitude for all the station locations. But the real-time information that's being pulled, I thought I would have to go do a bunch of HTML parsing from the service alerts page, but I didn't, luckily. That website pulls from an internal API that they use that's not GTFS. And that's the API that I ended up drawing from. It's publicly accessible, but it's not publicly documented. So I never really know what kind of announcement I'm going to get next. So the website has to be written in a way that kind of catches all possibilities that have come up so far.
Got it. That's really interesting. Second question was, I know the TTC is doing some piloting with GTFS real-time with transit app.
Yeah.
So I was curious if you'd like tested out transit apps kind of attempts to sort of map the diversions. Any thoughts you have on that?
I haven't incorporated that yet. I did learn from Brian, wherever he went. Oh, there. Yeah, that the transit app has that kind of information, partly because they have a special relationship with the TTC. Stuff is made available to them that's not made available to everyone. So there is a limited version of that data, of that real-time data that is out there. It gives you a radius around where you are. Right now, that's out of scope for this app because I just want to track where general system disruptions are. Where your individual bus, streetcar, subway is not part of it yet, but could be down the road.
Cool, thanks. I don't work at the TTC, but I do work in transit data, and I know some folks on their technical team. If
Okay.
you do want to not just talk to the board, but talk to the people actually working on the data.
Oh, okay, very cool.
So happy to
Thanks.
do that.
Do we have any online?
Nope, I don't think that we have any online.
Great. If there's anyone that has wants to ask online, just drop a Q in the chat. We'll go in the room right now.
I noticed you have slow zones on your map, which is really cool. Are those
Thanks.
from a data source, or is that like you're reading the board reports and adding them in?
So right now, the real-time alerts are done automatically, read from a data source, but the slow zones are updated manually, just because the alternative is HTML parsing. And I might patch that in at some point, but I just haven't bothered yet. I figure that if I'm a couple days late to remove or add a slow zone, that's not the end of the world to someone's commute.
Okay, I think someone already asked my question is, are you open for collaborators? And if so, what's your preferred way?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, just on GitHub, I guess?
Sorry?
Just on GitHub?
Just on GitHub, yeah.
Okay.
It's been linked in the Zoom chat, so
Okay.
if you're in there, you can see it.
Also, if I could make a quick comment, if that's okay. I think the fact that TTCmap.ca
Was
is
not taken, yeah.
It's a domain name you can grab, probably says something about the commitment TTC has on customer service. So I would just leave like that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your tech stack and like how you decided, what are some of the choices you made and you didn't make? Love to just see that, hear about that process.
Okay, yeah. Probably the biggest design change that happened while I was working on this was initially I wasn't planning to use icons for the service alerts. Initially, I was just planning to have a colored highlight of sections of the line. The problem with that was there's so many alerts that you get overlapping highlights and it becomes unreadable. And the shades of color are only slightly different. So in the end, I switched to icons. From the start, I had it set up as a Google Maps overlay just because I thought that would be the easiest to scale down the line. I did think about having a diagram form, kind of similar to the subway map you'd actually see on the TTC, in the subway cars or in the stations. And that might still happen down the road, but when it comes to showing what a diversion is for a bus line or a streetcar line, it's so much more useful to have Google Maps kind of as the under layer. It's not serving a hugely important purpose right now with the subway, I think, but if streetcar and bus lines get added in, then that'll be important later on. And beyond that, the web dev is basic enough, I think. It's node.js running on the server. It scrapes the API, pulls some JSONs. There's JavaScript doing everything, and then a single HTML page. There's really not a whole lot to it.
Great. Sounds like this trial and error was probably the best way to say, oh, let's
Yeah.
commit to this.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Most of the development time was just the TTC put out an oddball announcement and it broke my website. Now I have to go and change the long list of if-elses that parse the description. I think that's in an okay place right now, but there was a lot of time spent on that, and you kind of have to be actively on it all the time.
This is just like a quick follow-up. So in regards to you mentioned 5-minute presentation to that of the TTC, did they have any feedback on any comments on that? I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, I did have, I forgot what his role was, but someone who worked at the TTC who did ask me from an accessibility point of view, this is visual, which is great if reading is hard for you, but he also asked if it could be auditory, if it could read out the announcements to you. And that was a good question. That wasn't something that I'd thought about putting in. I do think that would be easier as a layer on the website that the TTC already has, in a sense, because it is a long list of text announcements. There's really no reason there shouldn't be a button at the top. You just click it and it reads it out. It might take a while, but there's a lot of stuff wrong with the TTC.
Does the existing website have any auditory or accessibility implementations to it?
Not that I've seen. It probably works with, I'm sure there are browser extensions out there that give you a little button and will read out the text. But since the website has the same text 3 times.
I don't think it's accessible at all.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks. I had more of a general question. I was wondering if the problem you mentioned with the TTC website was that information was so scattered. I'm also seeing this with apps, so like this Transit, Google Maps, and all of these different apps which do one thing at a time, and then they're not really interoperable. Do you see this as a goal that can be achieved maybe in some future, that apps can work more closely together or share data more closely so that people can look at one place instead of looking at like 10 for one trip?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, the GTFS, the standard that was put out by Google, is pretty comprehensive. For that to be realized, the TTC would just need to implement it all. In an ideal world, that would be the case, but I don't know. They need a bit of pressure.
Thanks.
Do we have space for one more online?
Go online. Go for it.
Okay, I'm going to read out this inline message. Maybe I missed this. If the key gap right now is not being able to show streetcar/bus diversions, what is the blocker for doing that? Parsing the contradictory info about what the diversion is? Question mark.
Yeah, parsing the contradictory info and just not having the info presented in a standardized way that I could write some code to interpret, and then put on a map. That just isn't available yet.
Okay, great. Andrew, thank you so much. Guys, let's give him an amazing, this is amazing. Let's give it to him. That's it.